Hi, welcome to this video on creating and using classes. Oops, I forgot to update the title. In this video, I'm going to be talking about creating getters and setters. And getters and setters just provide ways to access the private member variables of a class if you decide you want to provide that access. So we're going to put the getters and setters right after our constructors. So let's get started. We'll do the getters first because they're the easiest. So the getter for the name we'll call it getName, and it's just going to return the name that's associated with that class object. The getter for the quantity on hand we'll call getCount, and it is going to return the amount on hand. So the getters are pretty simple to write. The setters won't be that much more difficult though. I will spread that out a little bit. Not for any particular reason, I just will. So setName will take a string parameter and it will set that parameter or set the name to that parameter value. Very simple. Let's call it count. I didn't like to use count as the variable name because that's a variable in lots of other pieces of C++, but I do want to use it for my getters and setters. And let's see, what did I call that up here? Num items. Okay, so we'll use the same parameter there. So on hand, we'll get the value of num items. Okay, so there they are. Let me put them back into focus here. getName to return the name, getCount to return the number of items on hand, setName to set the item name, and setCount to set the on-hand amount. So let's see how we can use those in our program. So let's go down. This is the program I ended the last video on. And so we created a stock item, item 3, with the default constructor, so it doesn't have any values. So let's change that. So let's get rid of this display because we're not going to use it yet. And we're going to say item3 dot set name, and let's say it's a table. I've turned out this is a furniture store, even though I wasn't really sure what it was going to be. And then item3 set count. Let's say we have 2 in stock. All right. So now I could call the display member function to display that, but instead let's do it like this. Let's use the getters to get the name, and the getter to get the number of items in stock also. Sorry. Whoops. Okay, so let's review. Item 3 was created with the default constructor. So it has an empty string for the name and a 0 for the amount or the on-hand amount. So I used the setter, setName, to set the item name to table, and I used setCount to set the number of tables that we have on hand to be 2. So that's what we should see in our last display when we run our program. And if you look down at the bottom, oh, it's item, not name. Let me fix that real quick. All right, so should have realized that. Sorry. So for our item 3, which was empty, we have item table count 2. So to summarize, getters and setters allow us to get and set the member variables that we have declared as private and we don't have direct access to in the main program. And so the getters simply return the value stored in a member variable or member variables, and the setters will set those values. So you could change them. So for example, if we set item 1 to widget and then later on we realize that that's not the name that we want, we could say no to something else. Chaise Lounge, for example. So then when we run the program, now item 1 is a chaise lounge instead of a widget, just to demonstrate how that works. So that wraps up this lesson on creating class getters and setters, and in the next video we'll continue working on defining out our class objects.